Hello, everybody. It's Wednesday morning. I'm going to turn off Fox News. You don't want to hear that. I'd rather have you hear epidemic sound instrumental music without copyright. That's what's in the background. Hopefully it's not, I can overcome the loudness of that music. But when everything gets quiet, at least we're hearing something that's exciting. Okay, I did a episode yesterday that didn't go online. I went to Facebook, and I never went to Facebook, never went to YouTube. All right, so I'm going to do it again. So I've had some practice. All right, so since we last spoke, we ordered a Model Y, Tesla Model Y, 4 wheels, 4 doors, a long-range battery, which means 316 miles, according to the EPA. And my official order date is April 26th. So what is this? This is May 26th. So it'd be, they say it would be 4 to 9 weeks. Well, unless they tell me it's delivering tomorrow, they're not going to make 4 weeks. So, it's okay. We've got the money put aside. I need about $5,400 to pay, all these fees and stuff. And the first, my lease payment is $594, just under $600. So within the $5,300 I have to pay on day one, that includes the first monthly lease payment. All right, so that's going to happen. I spoke to the Tesla people in the Boca store, and they looked up my reservation number, and they, right into the Tesla system. They don't tell you much. All of a sudden you get a text message, supposedly, with the VIN number, and that happens around 10 days before you get the car. So what does that mean to me? I think what that means, if I were delivering Tesla cars from the company, when they give you the VIN number, that means development of the car is complete. It's gone out the front door of the factory. It's all polished up, and they're making all the final adjustments. And then they give me the VIN number, so I can go do the insurance thing. Because, I got to have insurance. So I've got the insurance, with Progressive all figured out. That's $300 a month. It's actually a little cheaper than the Honda for some reason. I guess because the car doesn't get in accidents with the autopilot thingy. All right, so that's all hunky-dory, right? All right, so, we live on the 8th floor in a 9-story building. So I call it a mid-rise building. It's not really a high-rise building. High-rise means you go over 20 floors. Anyway, this is 9. We're on level 8. And it has a structured parking garage. The units it's a U-shaped building. And in the inside of the U, there's 8 layers of parking. We're on level 6 of the parking garage, which converts to level 3 when you're talking about elevator buttons. So if I want to walk down the hallway and get in the elevator, I push level 3 and I walk outside these double doors into the garage, and it's actually level 6 that I'm stepping onto. So I'm parking space 368, which basically is about 30 steps. You walk out, you go a little bit to the left, and there's your car right in front of you. Okay. The reason why I'm saying that is because I have somebody on the 8th floor that I met in the elevator. His name is Brian. And he had the building stretch out he's got a Tesla also, a Model S like Sam. So he had a 1450 plug receptacle, a female receptacle, installed, screwed onto the column next to his car. It's like a dryer outlet. Gives you 40 amps worth of power at 230 volts. So that plugs in the car, and it puts, so it doesn't mean much when you say, you got a 94% battery, 80%. So what you do is you think in terms of miles. You notice that the gasoline cars have started doing their conversion. So instead of knowing that you got 2 gallons of gas left in the tank, which doesn't mean anything to anybody except Jimmy, it's better to say, hey, you got 60 miles of range left in your gas tank. So they started doing that 3 or 4 years ago. So even with my Honda, the Honda would say, you got 50 miles to go. Well, electric cars do that all the time, because other than kilowatts and all that kind of stuff, no one cares about kilowatts. What they want to know is how many miles of range remain in the charge of the battery. So it starts off so when you get your Tesla, there's an application, on the big screen, and there's a slider that you can slide. Now you can slide that slider all the way to the right, which means that you're going to fully charge the battery. They recommend that only if you're going to go on a trip. If you're not going to go on a trip, they want you to put it at like 95% of the battery instead of 100% of the battery. So 5%, 300, so that's 15 miles of range you're not going to get. So forget about 316 miles. Now we're down to 300 miles. Well, it's also on the other end. They don't want you to run the battery down to 0. Just like they wouldn't want you, if you're buying a Cadillac, they wouldn't want you to run your gasoline tank down to 0. So they want you to pull that slider up on the left side up to, let's say, 5% of your battery left. They say 10, let's go 5. So now we lose another 15 miles of range. So our 316 range battery, long range battery, we should pay $10,000 extra for that battery. It's a bigger battery. You're going to lose 30 miles off the top because they don't want you to run the battery down to 0, and they don't want you to charge the battery to 100%. They want it at least 5% on both ends. So that's 10%. That's 10% of 316 miles is 31.6 miles of range that you're actually never going to see unless it's a disaster. So I'm just telling you, when you buy an electric car, you know, you think in terms of how many miles of range do you have. Most gasoline cars do that now. Now they got a needle and that moves over and you see when it's half a tank and quarter of a tank, but it also tells you that you got X number of miles of range in the tank. Anyway, so why am I going down that road? Well, because when you buy, you know, a car like this, you know, how am I going to charge it? Well, they have supercharger stations. I bought this. I bought this adapter. You can see that. You see those nice big prongs? It looks like what your dryer plug looks like. It's exactly what your dryer plug looks like. Or your washing machine or your dryer. D-R-Y-E-R. So there's the side that connects to the cable of the Tesla car. And then this goes whoosh, in the wall. All right, so that's a $40 item that you pretty much have to buy. So my good friend Brian, who has the Model S, he parks on level 4, which is, you know, one full concrete slab lower than me. You know, I'm on 6. Then the ramp that goes, you know, a little rampy, that's like level 5. And then when you get on the flat thing again, then it's level 4. Anyway, so I'm writing him a letter. Here's the letter. I put my car on there just for a little graphic, so it's not a plain ugly letter. So I wrote this letter, which I have not delivered yet. I had Marilyn read it last night. She said it's okay. Yeah, I usually have all kinds of typos. Well, I don't have any typos. We're good. So I'm telling him I ordered a Model Y. Got the long-range battery. I spoke with Ann Waller. Ann Waller is our property manager for the whole building. I spoke with Ann Waller informally, because she don't want to get in the middle of anything, who says that you and I may share that outlet, and there'll be no electric charge for you or myself. It's not a separately metered thing, and just plug in. It just goes into the, the electricity for the whole building. So we've been in the building for 10 years, so I want to try to work out a deal with Brian. So when he's not in his parking spot, I can slip in there and plug into that plug. And if by some reason I'm still in Brian's spot, as you return from wherever, just continue on up to the next level and park in my parking place, because it'll be empty. Because if I'm in yours, there'll be nobody in mine. And when you want me to move out of your spot, just text me, and I'll get the car out of there. And once you park in your spot, text me again so I can park in my spot, because I'll be in some temporary spot waiting for you to get out of my spot. So a little bit of logistics there, but not after a couple, So as a backup plan, that's parking spot 266. Well, if you stand in front of that space, to the left is spot 265. Well, guess what that is? That's a 9 to 5, reserved 9 to 5. And that's for the commercial people who have, office space on the second floor of this commercial space. Law firms and so forth are there. And they reserve so many of these spots for them. So the one thing they could do is they could just convert that spot to a reserve spot for a resident like me. So 265 would become, my new spot, and I'll give up 368. And that would really kind of solve my problem, because now I'm on the other side of the column. I'm parking right next to Brian. So when he's not plugged in, I just plug in. And, if he's not plugged in by, 5 or 6 o'clock at night, I'll plug that sucker in and leave it on all night. Now, these cars, they do get, 285 miles of driving. So, for just, I take Marilyn to work, pick her up, and that's 5, 10, that's 20 miles. So, I still got lots of miles, 20 miles a day, times 5. That's 100 miles of range, just taking her back and forth to work. Well, you got a 280-mile battery, so you've got another 180 miles of range to go to Publix and, diddle-daddle, drive around, whatever. So, and they have these, supercharger stations. So if you're going to go to Orlando, or you're going to go to Fort Myers or anything like that, they've got these supercharger stations. I think they have them on the Florida Turnpike too. So you plug into that and you pay. You're not gonna pay 12 cents per kilowatt hour. You're gonna pay about 25 cents a kilowatt hour. So it's going to be about double than what you would be charged if like the building was charging me, my building. It's about 3.5 cents a mile is what the actual cost is to have. So 300-mile fill up, that's $9. $8.50. Isn't that amazing? Instead of $48, it's $8. And people, like Memorial Day, the gas prices, I hear, are $1 over last year. Well, if you got a 18-gallon tank, that means with the same fill up, you're pulling out an extra $20 bill. So, and we're not done yet, because with the current political situation, they turned off the pipeline, which is crazy because it's almost finished, and they just stopped it. It's got a gap in there. They stopped the wall, dividing Mexico from the U.S. They stopped that right in the middle. They got some holes in the wall. I mean, the guy said, crazy. They shouldn't be allowed to create a problem for our security with the whim of just to satisfy some political hack. Anyway, so that's what I talked about yesterday. I got my letter ready. I'm going to see if Brian's in his spot. Whenever I see his car in the spot, then I'll slip this under his door. I know what, he lives on the 8th floor. I walk by his unit every time I go to the elevator. So if I see his car in the slot, I'll slip this under the door and see if I get an answer. If I don't get an answer, then I'm going to go down to Ann Waller and see if she'll give me spot 265. 265 is on the other side of that column where the power is. I ordered a Tesla, an aluminum sign, which I can screw right under the wall. Tesla spot. If Brian likes it, I'll get another one and screw it on his spot. Anyhow, so that's my Tesla story. So I'm not going to get the car for a month. So I'm starting to get some of these preliminaries out of the way to find out just how am I going to put electricity into this thing. I park between two other cars. I got a car on the left and a car on the right. I'm not next to a column. So I would have to go to the guy on the right side of me. Or go to the guy on the left side of me too. And just say, hey, let's swap spots. And then run the electric to the column on the third floor. And that'll cost me a couple of $1,000. I'd rather not do that. I'd rather go into 265, which would be next to Brian, and just share his outlet. I met the guy in the elevator. He's a nice guy. And we'll just see how nice he is. maybe he's a monster. I don't doubt it. Yeah. I don't think we have some old people in this building, but we don't have many monsters. Okay, so we've been on there for 22 minutes, and I think I'm about done. I'll have something to talk about again, the next time I get live broadcast. So, in the meantime, listen to Epidemic Sound. You can hook onto that on the internet. Otherwise, I'll see you next time, which may be tomorrow. Keep an eye out. Bye-bye. Have a great day.